Let's talk about social media. Hey everyone, my name is Mary Ellen and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things related to the storytelling industry. If you don't already know me, I write nonfiction under my real name, Mary Ellen Quigley, and romance under my pen name, M.E. Laverne. And in today's video, we're going to talk about social media, especially if you're someone who runs multiple accounts for different pen names. Before we jump into this topic, I want to apologize for being gone for so long. I have been doing a lot of things, and so I didn't end up having time to record a video. I need to be better about pre-recording. A little tip for myself for later, but we hit busy season at the podcast, and so we've had events almost every weekend. I have to show you my cute little ghostie. Look at my cute little ghostie that I bought last weekend at the Crump Theater thing. So this is actually a K2 stand. I don't ghost hunt, but it's the perfect chapstick holder. Anyway, I got it from Eek Paranormal. It's absolutely adorable. I was like, they're cute. I don't have a K2, but I need a ghostie. I also started a new job. Those of you who've been watching me for a while know that the last job was not working well for me. So I looked for a new job and I found one, and I'm on week 4 at the new job and I love it so far. Much less stress so far. So I'm hoping it stays that way because I really just want to stay here for a while. But yes, that's why I've been gone. Let's talk social media. Okay, why are we talking about social media? Well, y'all know Mary was stressed as all get out for the last few months, and there came a point during the summer where I was like, I cannot handle this anymore because I was doing 4 sets of social media. 4 sets. We had the 2 podcasts that I do with my sister. I'm in charge of socials for those, and we have my 2 author accounts. And I was like, this cannot possibly be the way people are doing this. I know that those who have huge followings are making money off their books, probably are hiring social media managers or like author assistants, but like there are lots of people out there who have great social media followings that are authors. They cannot be spending this much time on socials. So I had a moment where I was like, I'm taking a break. I didn't post for a while, and I decided to do some research and to figure out a way to make my life a little easier. So I'm going to share with you the tips I learned, and then I'm going to tell you how I'm moving forward with my own socials. There are 2 themes to this, right? 2 themes. I'm going to use some popular slogans you already know. Number 1, less is more. And number 2, work smarter, not harder. Let's start with less is more. First of all, I do write under pen names, and that's for a reason. We know that the Mary Ellen Quigley is nonfiction local history paranormal books, which is a certain demographic, and we know that M.E. Laverne is romance books, which is a different demographic. These are not the same demographics, and therefore it made sense in my mind to split them. Just like with the podcast, one is about ghosts, one is about true crime. It made sense to split them. However, that does not mean that you need to join every single social media account under the planet. You don't need 10 social media accounts for each set of accounts. My first tip to everybody, and this may seem like common sense, but it is, that you don't need to be on everything. It is better off to pick 1 or 2 platforms that you do really, really well than to have 7 or 8 platforms that you very rarely post on. The first part of that is obviously to research your demographic. I was laughing because a few years ago, my niece informed me that Facebook is the old people's social media. Here's the thing. She's not wrong. I did go and watch a couple of webinars and read a few statistical reports. And it is the truth that most people who are on Facebook right now are millennials and older. If you want to reach a younger crowd, then you probably need to stick to the Instagram and TikTok world. And if you want to be real brave and catch the youngins, Snapchat is popular. And there's a couple other things out there that go towards the younger demographic. But that's not, I don't write children's books. That's not something I researched much. I know that for my age range, really, Instagram and TikTok are where the focus needs to be. But with that in mind, that means I don't need to be on all of the other platforms. The second observation I made is that social media is called social media because you are supposed to be social. I know that sounds silly to say it that way, but There is this misconception for a lot of people that if you post your content, people will find you. And yes, that's true, but also it's not. Like, there are some people who will follow the hashtags that you put on your Instagram post, for example, and they may come across you when they're looking through that particular hashtag. But 90% of the time, the way that I have been able to grow my accounts, at least in the last month since I've been implementing some of these recent things I've learned, is that I grow more followers on my Instagram, for example, by commenting, liking, and adding to the conversation that other people are having. And then once I do that, they will come to my page and then they add conversation to what I'm posting. Same thing with TikTok. Case in point would be that I recently had a TikTok go viral on my personal account, which I was 100% not expecting, and it was caused from stitching somebody else's video. I did a stitch of somebody who asked, like, tell us something that happened to you that no one would believe happened to you, and I shared an experience I had with a ghost as a child. That video is now sitting at like 65,000 views. And I have been consistently, before that, I had been consistently growing my view count from a couple hundred views per video to like 900 to 1,000, a couple thousand views. Really, it became from jumping on trends and stitching and commenting on other people's stuff. So now to the second part of this, work smarter, not harder. And what I mean by that is coming up with content ideas, like what content to post, and how to post them consistently, right? Because that's the hardest part about social media for me, is what do I post, and then trying to be consistent, because sometimes I'm busy and I don't have time to create something and post it. Well, a couple tips. So number one, I know we all hate AI as writers. I have my moments with AI. However, it is not the end of the world to utilize AI to help you come up with ideas for things, lists for things. It'll give you the idea, but you still have to take that idea and create something with it, right? So it's not the same as having like AI write a post for you. It's giving you the idea and then you take the idea and go running with it. You can also get author content creation calendars from like different people online, which are very similar. So there was one that I bought like a few years ago. It's very outdated, but she basically gave you ideas. And it sounds really silly, but having that, like, here's a prompt and you come up with your own post from it is really helpful. So do not feel bad for getting help. Part 2 of that is you do not need to post every day. What I mean by that is you can schedule your posts. A lot of people should know this already, but if you don't know this, you can schedule your posts. There are several different programs out there that you can pay to schedule your posts, but I actually use 2 things because I'm focusing again on Instagram and I'm focusing on TikTok for my author stuff. So fun fact about TikTok, you can pre-schedule your posts. You have to do it from a computer. It cannot be done from your phone. So you can pre-schedule posts and then you can schedule up to 14 days out and it'll auto post. I do warn you on that one because TikTok works on trends. So if you're trying to hop on a trend, it may not be so easy to do that because by the time you schedule that 14 days from now, it may not be a trend anymore. So I usually just pre-schedule anything that's promotional for my books, but anything that's kind of a trend I'm jumping on, I do that myself because I don't want to lose the trend. But then you also can use the Meta Business Suite to schedule your Instagram, your Facebook, and even your threads if you connect them correctly so that, you don't have to literally sit there and post every day. It will just auto post it for you. And then the only thing you have to do is go in and comment on other people's things, comment on your comments, all that kind of stuff. And that takes a little bit of that like everyday work out of it for you. So that's what I mean by work smarter, not harder. Like, how can you post consistently, but have it not be that you're actually posting every day and taking time out of your day every day. So what am I doing with this information to help myself moving forward? Well, the first thing we did was my sister and I combined our podcast accounts. So originally Hoosier Case File was a part of Hoosier Myths and Legends. We used to do a bonus episode where we would do a true crime case and then we would connect that true crime case to a haunting that's also related to that location. We would do Hoosier Myths and Legends as Hoosier Case File, and then we would do a true crime case. And it went over really well. We had so many people who liked it, shared it, comments galore. People absolutely loved it, and it ended up being really successful for us. So we had the idea of let's actually branch out and just do Hoosier Case File. Let's just do a true crime podcast. And let me tell you, the true crime podcast has been a flop, like an absolute flop. I don't know why that's the case, but we have very few listeners, very few followers on social. We've done ads, we've done all kinds of promotions, and it's not taking off in the same way that our ghost podcast did. My sister and I had a conversation of, do we keep these separate, or do we go back to just doing the occasional bonus episode and keeping it all under one platform? And the general consensus was, because of how much time and effort it was taking to run 2 sets of socials, we've decided just to keep everything under Hoosier Myths and Legends, and to eventually weed out Hoosier Case File and just keep it under one podcast. The second thing I did was I did combine my author accounts, which may sound counterintuitive, but let me explain that to you. So I actually promote my local non-history paranormal book on the podcast. My sister and I wrote it together. It's something that we loop under the podcast, and the next 2 or 3 nonfiction books I have planned are also in collaboration with my sister and with the podcast. I don't necessarily need to have my own Mary Ellen Quigley set of socials just to promote the nonfiction work, when you consider that all of that is coming through the podcast page already. To me, it's kind of like double posting it. And although that's not a bad thing, it's not needed. Instead of focusing on those 2 sets of author socials, I was like, let's keep that book promotion through the podcast. And then I will have the M.E. Laverne stuff be where I focus my attention. I made a change to that. I now go under Mary Ellen Author, because again, it's no surprise to anybody that I have a pen. Everybody knows my pen name. It's not a surprise. It just allows everyone to get to know me as Mary Ellen, an author, make it more streamlined and easy for me to cross post, because I do have YouTube under Mary Ellen and a couple other things under Mary Ellen. So again, it's combining things. So I went from 4 sets of social media to 2 sets of social media. This change happened about a month ago, and just due to the streamlining, my TikTok following on my, what used to be Emmy Lauren is Mary Ellen Author Talk, that has doubled in my follower count. My follower count has doubled in 30 days, and my view count has gone from being 200 to 300 views per video to averaging about 800 to 900 views per video. And that's because I have the time to interact with that feed more. I think that's what's helping me grow. My Instagram following has also been consistently growing, and really I've just been putting my focus on those 2 platforms right now. That is what I've done to make the change, and so far I'm already seeing positive movement. So I hope this continues to be the case. If you are an expert at social media and you've got some tips or tricks, or you've done a video about this, share it below so we can go check it out. But otherwise, I hope you guys found some of this information helpful, and I would love to hear what you guys do for socials and how you handle it on your own, because it is a lot of work. There's a reason this is a full-time job for people. Okay, if you liked my video, give me a thumbs up, share, comment, all the things. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.